witches!
Hi, hello, and welcome back. Today, you're going to be talking about Beltane, or as what some things call it, Beltana.
Beltana.
I couldn't actually get the correct pronunciation, like the old Irish way of saying it, so I'm just going to
Yeah.
go with Beltane for right now.
Well, I looked it up earlier too, and it literally said that the American way of saying it is Beltane, and I was like, okay. And I
I'm
couldn't find
American, I guess I
the
might as
old
well just
Irish
say it.
way either. Yep. Y'all know
Well,
what we're
and
talking about, okay?
and every time I looked it up, like Wikipedia, I looked up different areas, different things. They didn't actually have like a pronunciation guide with it. They kind of did, but they kind of didn't. Even Wikipedia like pronounces it Beltane,
Yeah.
like
I looked up
Britannica.
a few different YouTube videos too, and they all said Beltane.
Yeah. Did you look up a guy that was like, today we are going to be learning about the word Beltane. Like he's got like this weird like accent, but it's like deep.
Yes. And it's
Yeah,
like curtains.
he's always doing those videos. I don't know who he
Yes.
is, but yes. I first listened to that one. I was like, okay, but the comments are saying that this is incorrect. And I was like, okay,
I,
pronunciation like .com or something like that. And then I got a pronunciation from a woman in Ireland, and that's where it said Beltana. And I was like, okay, that's enough for me.
yeah.
You could probably say you're from Tunisia, and I will believe whatever you put in there because I don't know any better.
You know?
I'm trying, but you know, whatever. Anyways, so today we're going to learn about Beltane. So every year it is May 1st. Um, this year it'll be on Monday, literally 2 days away. Um, and it is also known as May Day. Um, so a lot of people celebrate May Day with like flowers, planting them. But they also do like the maypole where you have, and growing up, I never realized that this was like a pagan thing. And I always actually really thought it was kind of cool. But I had teachers that, not teachers, I shouldn't say teachers because that's impolite. I had some people in my life that would say that's like heathen ways or something like that. Like it when I think about it, it wasn't an appropriate way to tell like a growing child like that's not how you do it.
Right.
Um, I'm gonna chalk it up to the Catholicism and also to the fact that they were older and they're from a different whatever it's called. And but anyways, so Beltane or Beltana is Gaelic May Day festival. So Beltane is the midway point between the spring equinox and the summer solstice. It is basically a time of renewal, kind of like a Stara, where you would practice like fertility, not practice, but you would like rejoice to fertility with like eggs and bunnies and all of that. It's something very, very similar, but it's like getting down into it kind of thing. Um, so Beltane, if you look at the etymology, yeah, because I didn't say etymology of it, it actually means like fire or like bright fire or white fire, because it's celebrated with bonfires. So in the old days, it was seen as a celebration of upcoming life of the like god and goddess. Depending on who you were, what you celebrated, there's actually like a lot of different ways to celebrate Beltane based on your spiritual path. Um, but according to this, the old ways, I guess I would say, which consist of locations involving like Ireland, some parts of Wales, Scotland, Isle of Man, all of that kind of stuff. the you would basically create huge bonfires in what is it, in celebration of the, I think, sun god Bel, or Belinus. Um, and you would create these two bonfires close together, and you would take yourself, your family, your cattle, like your basically the things you own, not the things you own, but like the animals, your livestock, your friends or family, and like the whole town, if you're in a town, would go through like these two fires, or like jump over this celebratory fire as a way for like wishing for abundance, whether that be in your life, in your crops, or anything like that. So if the cow would go through it, then you're wishing abundance on like the cow's milk supply or the calves that it gives, like that kind of stuff. Um, and they would also do like the maypole, which we can kind of get in a little bit later, but they would dance around a pole in celebratory for the upcoming abundance and fertility. And let's see. There is a custom practice in the Scottish Highlands in the old ways, which involved cooking like special oatmeal cakes in a side of at the side of the Beltane fire. Um, and then each person would get like a piece of the cake out of the bonnet, or like they would be tossed in with like a bonnet or whatever, and you get a piece out of it, and it's like a way to celebrate new abundances coming to like the new year. It was actually really like kind of cool because you'd be blindfolded as you what is it? You'd be blindfolded as you're picking out this piece of cake. Um so a piece of the cake was marked with charcoal and tossed into a bonnet along with the marred pieces, and you would be blindfolded or with your eyes closed, and everyone would pick a piece of cake out of the bonnet. Whoever got the blackened piece became the unlucky victim of ridicule and mock sacrifice. um, was very briefly that victim was very briefly tossed into the fire, or was forced to leap over a like big bonfire kind of thing, three different times. Um, and then they would be bombarded
Casual.
with, right, they would be bombarded with eggs and eggshells, and over the next several days, the victim was spoken about as if he or she were dead. This sounds unpleasant, but as history and archaeology affords evidence of actual human sacrifice taking place in other Celtic lands like England, this tradition seems relatively harmless. So, I guess whatever. Um, and it's also believed that the fires on Beltane is that it's most potent because in some areas of the world they believe that the veil between the realm of fairies, or like the other realms, I guess, and Earth are at its thinnest. So like the powers from other realms are able to come over and like strengthen
Okay.
um, the fire here.
Interesting.
So if you're more than likely to have a fairy encounter, it's going to be on Beltane, just because that's the thinnest veil of the year. Um,
With all respect, no thank you. All the respect to the
Stay
Fae,
away from them fairy circles
but
now.
no thank you.
um, and there's just I mean, I'm getting all of this from like Llewellyn's Sabbat Essentials, and it's like the Beltane one. But there's a lot of information about like what they did specifically, but I'm just kind of obviously brushing over majority of that. Um, but another big part of Beltane are flowers. So they would make wreaths. They would grow. Well, they can't really grow flowers at this point, but like they would make wreaths from flowers. They would make flower crowns. Um, crowns. Did I say it? No, I sound like I'm saying crayons. Um, they would also obviously dance erotically. Um, as erotically as you can get back in ancient times, because nowadays erotic is very, very different. I feel like whenever I read a story or something like that where it was like she danced erotically around the fire, I'm sitting there like, how are you dancing around the fire erotically? Like what about it is erotic? Like
Right.
what time frame? Is this the 1800s? Like how are you dancing? Is this the 1700s? Like is this further back in time? Cuz when I think erotic, I think like 8th grade, middle school, like grind trained kind of thing with like all your
Right.
female friends. That's what I'm thinking of. So I need a demonstration or like an idea of what is happening. Like I don't understand. Um but those are just some of the ways that like it was celebrated back in ancient times prior to pre-Christian days. And even throughout Christianity, like the spread of it, it still was celebrated, but it wasn't celebrated as often due to the persecution of it, obviously. um, but there is actually some communities that are completely dedicated to like the old Celtic ways of celebration of like certain pagan holidays, like uh, May Day. Um, but like Dublin, I think has a huge community of it. I mean, center of Ireland essentially, so they fucking better. But um, so yeah, so that's just some of the ancient ways of Beltane. Um, so I thought that was pretty cool. And the nice thing about this book is it also shows you how, depending on your spiritual path, like how you could um, celebrate it. Now, also, it doesn't matter how you celebrate it. It's essentially the intentions that you set. So if you want abundance in your life, then you're going to do things that will make you feel like you have accomplished that abundance in your life. Like it doing a spell or an incantation or whatever a specific way is not, it doesn't matter how you do it. It's how you're feeling and how much energy you're putting into it. It's not, well, I didn't lick the paper 4 times, so the spell's not going to work. It doesn't matter. Like,
Right.
who gives a fuck about that? Like, just do it the way you feel is right. So, if anyone ever tells you to do like a spell, like, just, you could do it their way, or you can figure out a whole way that works better for you. Um, so some of the new ways that you could celebrate, and there's a lot of different ways, or a lot of different like spiritual things. So there's actually, it talks about some modern themes and common elements, which would intend like which would be like having rituals that focus on fertility, prosperity, health, etc. Music, dancing, feasting, having picnics, fireside rituals, being one with nature, just get together, anything like that. Because most of it's going to be held outdoors because it is springtime. It is like that new life being brought into the world kind of thing from the dusty old winter. Um, but a lot of people don't talk about is that Beltane is actually I don't want to call it a fertility holiday, but a lot of this books talks about sex, love, laughter, romance, and celebration. So like,
Sounds like a party.
yeah. So if you're celebrating Beltane in the country, obviously you can have those big bonfires. You can have like your own Day parade kind of thing in your yard. You can have like your pole, whatever the case may be. But if you're in the city, you might actually find a local community that celebrates it, and you might be able to like join them in their celebrations. Um, it's kind of hard to do anything in nature, especially when you're in like a big city like New York City. But if you can find like a picnic in a park and that suits your needs and that fills you up with the whatever you need for your day, then that's fine too. Um, but in those bigger cities, you will be able to find a better community of people that will have those certain whatever. Now, I say that, but in America, it's going to be very difficult having those things just because of the fact that it's you're Christian or you're not. And if
Yeah.
you're not, then you're not you're not right with Jesus, and that's final. You're a heathen. Um, but in other countries like Ireland and all of that, they are going to have certain specific areas that will have these bigger celebrations that you can look into.
That
Um,
being said, I think there are some cities and some bigger cities. There are
yeah.
larger groups. We just happen to not be from those bigger cities. Well, you kind of are now.
I mean, I'm significantly bigger than the town I lived in, Lafayette, but
Yeah.
not as big as some. But yeah, it's pretty big. Um, so different pagans means that there are different practices. So I'm just going to touch lightly on these. Like I can get these more involved in like a later episode or even on social media, but I don't want to take up too much time about like different paths because some of these we don't follow. I mean, we are more the what is it? I think it calls us neo pagans. I think that's what like yeah, because we're not eclectic witchcraft. Um, Oh, well, maybe we are. I don't know. Anyways, so the Celtic Reconstructionists, um, their aim is to practice early Celtic religion as accurate to history as they possibly can get. So if they can go back in time and recreate everything perfectly, like they are solid and golden and happy with life. So that they're going to try to get as um, strong beliefs in their history of religion. Excuse me. Um, and they actually use like a lot of there's I guess there's some communities of Celtic Reconstructionists that I wouldn't say don't follow time, but don't follow a calendar to like a T. They will actually look at the stars and see like where certain constellations are located and then determine based off that. So like um Beltane may be celebrated on the first full moon following the blossoming of the hawthorns or timed to coincide with the date when the sun is at 15 degrees Taurus. So, relatively, it's going to be around the same time and date of like May, but it's depending on the Earth because it changes monthly or yearly.
Right.
Um, and again, they're going to do it the old fashioned way. Now, Wiccans um, is for those that don't know, Wiccans are have been introduced near the middle of the 20th century, and they are based on pre-Christian religion, animistic belief, and shamanic, shamanic. Is that how you
Yeah.
pronounce that?
Shamanic.
Principles of shaman. I don't know. Shaman principles and practices. So Wiccans believe in a horn deity, but they also believe in a female, which is the triple headed goddess. Um, Basically, they're going to celebrate by having maypole dances. Uh, there's going to be a bonfire along with a fair amount of revelry, merrymaking, and mayhem. Um, they also are going to have a lot of um, male and female energy in the air because at this point in time is when the horned god sees that the triple goddess is ripe for the picking
Mm.
and goes
Mm-hmm.
for it. So,
Sounds
and
kind of
some,
rapey.
yeah, yeah, um, yep. Um, but sometimes they will actually celebrate May Day with ritualistic sex.
Okay.
Um, and in the words of this book, it literally says, in some covens, the high priestess and high priest reenact the Beltane myth of the young, lusty god mating with the fertile maiden goddess, bringing new life and renewal to the earth. Sometimes this reenactment involves ritual sex, but many groups today stick with a more symbolic representation of the myth, performing actions meant only to imitate the sex act.
So Cal and I.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, Kevin, anyone? Anyone? Or Tamlin?
Oh my gosh.
Are you the
Fucking
horned god
Santa.
of? Are you the horned god of this adventure here? Which
Ooh.
doesn't he have horns in his like animal?
I think so.
Ugh, Bat boys for the win. Anyways, so that's kind of an idea of how Wiccans would celebrate, and this is my favorite. It actually has a thing called heathen. If you're a heathen,
Okay.
heathenry is how it is. It. So, heathenry encompasses other neo-pagan paths that practice the pre-Christian religious traditions of Germany, Scandinavia, and other places in Northern Europe. So, if you're Norse, I feel like you would be. You wouldn't consider yourself a heathen, but like other people would probably consider you a heathen. And I feel like historically speaking, you were considered a heathen. Um, but they celebrate something similar to May Day, but they're going to celebrate something called Walpurgis Night, which is on April 30th. And then they'll celebrate May Day on May 1st. It's time when magic is believed to be afoot and a time when spirits wander. So it's kind of like All Hallows Eve, like when all the spirits come back. But for this one, it's Walpurgis Night and May Day, which kind of brings into the tie of this is when the veil is the thinnest. Um, Heathens today may mark the occasion with a great bonfire, a simple feast, a liberal toast made to the god Wotan, or also known as Odin, and to the goddesses of magic. So I feel like that's the Norse way of celebrating things. Fiona, if you're listening, that is how you're going to celebrate May Day. Although we're probably going to work, so um,
Yeah, no, I
and
will be. It's on Monday.
yeah. So I also didn't realize that like I knew druids were like a religious thing, but I didn't know they were still like well practiced or like well known. I don't. I guess I
I
was
didn't
thinking it was
either.
like a dying art kind of thing.
Right.
But if you are modern druid or whatever, you are not going to be like the Celtic Reconstructionist. You are more of the Celtic revivalist style, picking and choosing from the ancient Celtic beliefs and adapting these for the current times. So they're often more eclectic, merging various traditions and new inventions with the time honored practices of the ancient Celts. So you're probably going to go have some beer at a bar with a bonfire. Not even a bonfire. It's going to be probably like one of those tiny little machine made fires. I wouldn't say that's exactly what a druid would be, but that's how you would celebrate May Day in the most modern way possible.
Yeah.
Um, and so druids will celebrate Beltane um, with fertility, union, and sexuality. It's a time for protection and purification. And it's a time to honor the dead. Fairies are believed to make extra mischief on Beltane, and the veil between the worlds thinning at this time, just as it does on Samhain. And some druids may wear bells to help keep the naughty fairies at bay.
Oh.
So if you're afraid of fairies and you don't want fairies to fuck you up, wear a bell that day. Um, they also will have prayers for health, prosperity, protection, and love may be made, and offerings of bread, beer, and mead are left for the gods and the dead to celebrate everything. So I would say we're more traditional witchcraft because I mean we're starting out. We might go into eclectic witchcraft later on, but right now we're just trying to find our way. Um, so this is like traditional folk magic and an often polytheistic belief system. That was a mouthful.
It
Um,
was.
so obviously witchcraft will vary from place to place depending on where you're located in the world and where you're at in your life. Um, your specific practices are going to be based on local culture and the environment. So with us, we're obviously working it ourselves. We're kind of getting it from people in our local areas, trying to see how they celebrate it. Now, if I was in a location like Louisiana or in location like Haiti. Obviously, if I were to do any type of witchcraft down there, I would probably be doing something way different than how they're doing it, because that is how their local culture would see it as.
Right.
Um, so traditional witches celebrate the solstices and equinoxes, and some celebrate the 4 cross-quarter days, but most do not celebrate both. So, traditionally, either the solstices and equinoxes were honored or the cross-quarter days were honored, according to local lifestyles and to the needs of the land. Traditions that were mostly agriculturally tend to celebrate the solstices and equinoxes, while more pastoral based traditions with their roots in the Celtic lands acknowledge the cross quarter days, such as Beltane. Um, so the cross quarter is basically like the halfway point between like the major quarters of the, um, I guess, Sabbats. Um, so they may do just as their ancestors did with bonfires, rituals, or orgiastic revelry, reverence, and magic. Not doing that, but okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna skip that part, I think.
But that's kind of what traditional witches would do.
Yeah.
And I
And
feel like
like
that's
if
kind of
that's
how
what
we do
people
it.
want to do now, like good for you, more power to you. And that's just not gonna be for me.
Yeah, if that's your lifestyle, I mean, I feel like some pagans are not monotheistic, monogamous. I feel like they are very fluid and out there. I feel like a lot of those types of people are
Yeah. And
pagan. I mean,
like good for you. Like if that is your jam and you're in like that's all consensual, then that's awesome. It's just not for
yeah.
me.
Neo-paganism is a term that is pretty broad and has a variety of practitioners involved with it. It could include Wiccans, eclectic witches, modern druids, and some others. Um, but essentially, you're just a new pagan. You're a pagan of the new age, and they can celebrate Beltane alone or with a group. There's actually a lot of neo pagan social groups that bring together people from a variety of paths, which is kind of true. I got involved with a couple of Facebook groups for like witchcraft location, not witchcraft. It's basically witchcraft for like Southern witches, and it's based out of North Carolina and South Carolina. And there was a pagan festival that we went to, and there was all kinds of things going on there. There were some Christian witches of some sort. There were pagans of all things. Like Fee went and she believes in the Norse gods. Like there was all kinds of people there. There was people who were like mediums. There were people who read energies. So they do exist. I will admit that. Um, but solitary neo pagans might celebrate the more traditional way, or more I guess what you would do if you lived out in the country, kind of like with your close family or friends, like if you're in like a smaller kind of community like that, and you would just get creative at home doing like your own little thing there. um, so eclectic witchcraft is defining practitioners of witchcraft who may or may not choose to define themselves as Wiccan, and to draw practices and beliefs from a variety of traditions and from both personally crafted and indigenous magical and spiritual systems. So this is where I'm like, eh, are we this? I mean, maybe on our way, but not, I wouldn't define us as that.
Yeah.
The common aspects between all of this basically include the emphasis on natural energies and seasonal tides, with most eclectic witches working closely with the moon, the sun, and the stars, the earth, and the elements, which we're working on.
Yeah.
Um, so with Beltane, the rituals for eclectic witches are going to emphasize more about the springtime energies of birth and renewal. And some fires may be lit in solidarity with the sun's rising strength. However, the common themes are going to be abundance, growth, prosperity, fertility, love, and sexuality. The rituals are typically very joyful, and fresh vegetation, such as leaves and flowers, are frequently found donning the altar as well as the witches. Um, Sometimes they are worn on the body, and there are many eclectic witches who prefer to wear nothing at all. I mean, that's how you were born, that's how you're brought into this world. So a lot of people like to go back to that route.
Yep.
They also believe that this is the perfect time to honor the union of energies that manifest the blossoming of nature. And sex magic may be practiced solo, with a partner, or with multiple partners. So this is the time when those eclectic witches are going to do more sex magic than they are. They're going to do a different type of abundance than they are the typical farm abundance.
You know, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Whatever works for you.
So, whichever one of those you are, that's how some of those practitioners celebrate Beltane. Now, some really cool things. Around the world, there are actually modern gatherings and festivals that you will see celebrated on or around May 1st. So, there is a fire festival in Edinburgh, I think it's Edinburgh, Scotland. It is held on the night of April 30th. It is a modern arts and cultural event organized by the Beltane Fire Society, a community arts performance charity. It's an investigative theater group with both planned and spontaneous theatrical performances, drumming, and ritual taking place throughout the night at various places on the hill. That's actually really freaking cool.
That is really interesting.
That
Yeah.
would be pretty fun. Yeah. There is a symbolic reenactment of the death and rebirth of the Green Man. Um, and there's a great procession led by the May Queen circles the hill. So it's kind of like Circus City days. You get the Circus City Queen that like just follows around everything, and everyone's like, "Yay, the circus!" That's all I can think of. And it actually attracts a crowd of more than 12,000 people each year. That'd be fun.
That would be fun.
Um, there is a celebration in Florence, Colorado, called Beltania or Beltania. It is a pagan celebration and music festival held in early May in the mountains of Colorado. The 4-day festival features camping, rituals, workshops, live music, and a very large-scale maypole dance featuring more than 100 ribbons. A green man and a May Queen are crowned and celebrated. Drum circles and dancing keep everyone busy well into the night, and a sky-clad camping area open only to attendees who are 18 years of age or older provides endless opportunity for magic and mischief in the dark.
Unacceptable.
Do you like that? At least you got to be 18 years of age.
That's fair.
Um, Bardic circles, spontaneous singing, and storytelling around the campfire add to the atmosphere of fun and fellowship that prevails throughout the festival. It is hosted by Living Earth, an open neo-pagan group and community church offering rituals, family events, classes, and other services in the Denver metro area. That's
Interesting.
fun. Okay. Minneapolis, Minnesota also hosts one called the May Day Festival and Parade. For more than 40 years, the Twin Cities have come together for a community-wide celebration of May Day that include a parade, a ceremony, and a festival. Oh, this boasts a number over 50,000 participants each year, coming from both near and far. Puppets, dancers, and performers donning giant masks, some over 10 feet tall, fill the streets and music, joy, and laughter fill the air. The parade also features a free speech section where community groups march in proclamation of their respective causes.
That's cool.
Nice. There is a large public ceremony to help awaken the slumbering summer. A pageant featuring dancers, live orchestra music, and 4 giant puppets representing the prairie, sky, river, and woods is enjoyed by the all ages audience. More than 200 participants take part in the pageants each year. The pageant culminates in drumming while a red sun flotilla, a type of flat-bottomed boat, is paddled across the lake to awaken the tree of life that sleeps on the opposite shore. This is called the Tree of Life ceremony, and people of all ages participate. Nice. Poetry readings are also there. Informational booths hosted by local grassroots organizations, canoe rides, and more happen at this parade and festival. May Day Ferry Festival and Sproutwood Farm outside of Glen Rock, Pennsylvania, is an annual event held in early May at an organic farm located just outside of Glen Rock. The event celebrates the arrival of summer weather and the return of the fairies and other nature spirits to the world of warmth and sunshine now that the freeze of winter has officially thawed. With arts and crafts, live music, dancing, storytelling, fairy and gnome habitat tours. Oh my god, that'd be so cool.
That would be pretty cool.
Gnomes are so cute.
I
Every
love
time
gnomes. Brittany hates them.
I had an ex roommate that hated, or no, she loved gnomes so much because her like shitty mom's boyfriend or whatever like hated gnomes. But he like thought they were terrified, and so she always joked. She goes, "So that he never shows up to our apartment, we're just gonna be hanging gnomes all over the place." But Will's got like an old married couple kind of like gnomes, and it's so cute. And he's just like, "It's gonna be us in the future," and I was like, "Probably." And every time we see a gnome out and about, I'm just like, "Should we get it?" I freaking love
I
that thing.
love gnomes.
They're so cute. Oh my god.
Brittany too
Um,
creepy.
I don't care. They're so cute. Okay. So Will's never seen Romeo and Juliet, and I was like, "We're gonna fucking watch it."
That
He's
is a
like,
cute movie.
"Why?" I was like, "Cause it's so fucking good, and it's got this cute little modern take on Romeo and Juliet, and I love it." And he's like, "Fine." So I'm over there like crocodile rock, like
And
dancing,
he's
and he's
like,
just.
what is happening?
I was like, "Bro, if you don't like me at this, don't watch it with me when I'm watching The Labyrinth with David Bowie." I fucking love that one. And it doesn't matter. It's the tiniest, my favorite scene. It's the tiniest little thing. Little, like not even major to the plot point. Nothing at all. It's this tiny little creature that pops out of like a sandstone labyrinth location where Sarah is marking which way she's walked with like lipstick. And this tiny little thing pops up and goes, "Your mother's a fucking hard fuck." And then like flips it around and then goes away. And that's it. It's just this tiny little thing. Like, honestly, it's like probably this big compared to like Sarah, the main character. And then he just comes out, curses at her, and goes away. Lose my mind every time.
That
Every
would be your
time.
favorite part.
Every time. I'm like, God, that little chaos pixie right there, that's me. I'm like, I fucking love it.
Yeah. Don't ever get mad at me for talking about your Aquarius energy ever again.
I demanded to know what you were saying. And then when you said it, I was like, yeah, you're right, though.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
You're like, seriously? I'm like, shut the fuck up. I was like, okay. Anyways, back to the fairy and gnome habitat tours. You can also have fairy tea parties, a maypole, and much more. It's a 3-day family-friendly festival. Attracts more than 16,000 people each year. Putting that on the list of things to go to. Hey Siri, how far away is Glen Rock, Pennsylvania? Because that's going to be the real test of time. Another one is in Greenville, Virginia. I wouldn't say that's pretty close to me, but that's probably going to be the closest one out of every one of these. The Blue Ridge Beltane Festival. The Blue Ridge Beltane Festival features rituals, drumming, workshops, vendors, bands, fire spinners, and more with a 3-day camping event in honor of the coming of summer. Highlights include the lighting of the bell fire, the maypole dance, and the inner sanctum, an area of the camp devoted to workshops, rituals, and impromptu encounters, emphasizing the sacred sexual experience.
You lost me at
Maybe
camping,
not.
so
Maybe not. The inner sanctum is only open to consensual adults ages 18 and older who wish to explore the more sacred and magical side of human sexuality. With others? I don't
again,
know
as
if I would
long as
like to
it's
join them.
consensual, if you're into that,
Yeah.
go for it. But like, you lost me at camping, and especially like not only Are we like having sex with strangers, but we're doing it while camping, so they're not fully like showered and no. This one's not for me. I'm gonna have to pass. No thanks.
You don't have to go to the inner sanctum. You just go to the
I don't
outer
like
wall.
camping in general. Camping is
You
not
don't
for me.
have to camp. I know it's a camping event, but you don't have to go to the camp.
That's
Go
fair.
glamping.
Just drive there every day.
Yeah, just bring your glamper.
Listen,
You, you'll be
that's
good.
still camping.
And luxury,
I guess.
running water, air conditioning,
I mean, running
food.
water to a certain point, depending on what kind of location they're at, I guess. Because you'd have to
True,
have a
just fill
water
up your tank
hookup.
before you go in. um, there's also a youth zone featuring kid-friendly arts and crafts, imaginative games, rituals, and other activities appropriate for the younger set of life. Holy shit, how much are there? I didn't look. Oh, there's only 3 more. We Gucci.
Okay.
Okay. We Gucci. We Gucci. Okay. The Beltane Gathering in Darlington, Maryland is a 5-day celebration of sacred sexuality and personal freedom held on a 200-acre retreat center. Holy shit. During the first week of May. Group rituals, workshops, and presentations on sacred sex topics and an a sensual feast are highlights of this camping event and magical retreat. Vendors selling sex toys and magical tools peddle their wares. They sleep in cabins or in tents, but with all the opportunities for fun the festival affords, resting often takes a low priority. At the festival centers around celebrating sexual liberation and utilizing the tremendous power and potential that lies therein. Public sex is allowed and every kink is welcome. Can you just imagine walking through, like, going to see, like, all these, like, random vendors that aren't sexual in nature, and then you just see a fucking couple having sex right next to you on a tree? It's like, holy shit, hello.
You know, I mean, again, to each their own. I am
Go,
not
go, go.
confident enough in myself to have sex in public, even with my chosen person. Like, even with Brittany, I'm not, nope, I don't think I'm into that.
And these
But
two other
again,
ones are.
let me be very clear. Do you, boo? Like, I am very supportive of people doing what they want to do. It's just not for me.
I think it's just because it's so taboo in America to, like, think about sex and think about like the ideations of sexual liberation and all of that. And because we come from smaller towns that are
Yeah.
very religious based, I think it's just kind of like ingrained in us to sit here and be like, eh.
Yeah, well
You
that
do
and
it,
like
but
I just like imagine like I'm really awkward sometimes just with Brittany. So like I can't imagine like being in public. I just
hey,
mm.
some that's a kink of people. So, like, you know
Yes, I
what?
mean that's what I
That's where
said.
they're gonna go.
To each their own.
They're gonna go
Whew,
there
excuse me.
so that they don't have to worry about getting in trouble with the police anywhere else in the world.
There you go.
So this other Beltane festival is at Butser Ancient Farm near Petersfield, Hampshire, England. This farm in the English countryside hosts a Beltane ritual and celebration that draws a crowd of all ages. The festivities include a hog roast, picnicking, and live music. Children craft flower and wicker crowns to don, and they parade them around proudly as families picnic on the lawn. When nighttime falls, all eyes shift to the star of the show, the 30-foot tall wicker man, soon to be set ablaze. Festival goers write down their hopes and wishes on small scraps of paper, which are stuffed inside the human-shaped wicker framework. The wicker man is lit, and the crowd watches eagerly as the flames rise higher, soon engulfing the whole contraption, and eventually causing it to collapse to the ground in a heap of burnt twigs and ashes. The burning of the wicker man symbolizes the end of winter and a promise that summer is on the way. As could be expected, the ritual is met with great rejoicing, loud noise, and raucous behavior. I
Mm.
also forgot to mention that in the old ways of celebrating, any ash that was used in celebration, not used in celebration, but the ash left over from the celebration would actually be used to, like, till and fertilize the fields.
Oh, cool.
So like any intention that they set into making the fire and like celebrating that evening, that the fire like basically engulfed around them, the ashes that were left over were used as a way to give to Mother Earth so that Mother Earth can give back in abundance. I forgot to
Nice.
mention that. But I didn't think about it until I saw like the 30-foot man going into ashes, and then that's when I was like, oh fuck, I forgot to say that. The last one, oh, I cannot pronounce that. Beltane, Thurnborough Henge near Ripon, North Yorkshire, England. This is a prehistoric site in North Yorkshire, and it has been the site of an annual Beltane celebration since 2004. This is also featuring a May Day Fool, a mystery play, and a fire lighting ceremony. The free gathering aims to offer an alternative to more commercial Beltane festivals. With Brigantia, a goddess once revered in the Old Kingdom of Northern England as a focal point of the ceremonies, Beltane has a distinctly unique local flavor. Revelers often camp out the night before the main events, enjoying the magical, mystical atmosphere that the historic site provides. The largest group of prehistoric earthworks in Britain, the Thurlborough Henges, is comprised of an extensive landscape of henges, stone monuments, and crusses, cursus, cursus. I don't know. They're parallel sets of banks flanked by ditches. These are
Okay.
formed to run alongside or overtop ancient burrows. The site is dated to the Neolithic period, its construction likely beginning and ending between 3000 and 2000 BC. Man, that's just the history of long ago. I just doesn't for me. I don't know what it is. Send
Oh,
me to
it's
like the
so
most,
interesting.
yeah. Like my mom, when she was alive, she was always like, why do you want to go elsewhere? Why do you want to go outside of the United States when there's so many things to like learn about here? And I was like, I don't give a fuck. 300 years of history? No. 2,000 years of history? Count me in.
Right, and like I would love to learn about the more like the original Americans, like like the Native Americans and like their cultures are so interesting and so much more aligned with what I believe in than
Yeah,
the BS that
we're
the
taught.
colonizers brought.
Fucking colonizers.
Fucking white people. Just to be clear,
um,
both of us are white, but like
fuck
colonized
us.
some white people shit.
I would like to say that I was not a part of the colonizing family, although I probably was somewhere along the lines of my father's side, just because like I think they were in America a lot longer than what I have information of. Although some family member from Canada, like whose family moved to Canada, like they were born in America, moved to Canada. She's like been giving me all the for like inside details of like that side of the family. So I just got to sit down and actually write down all the information. But my mom's side of the family literally came over in like the 1900s because of the potato famine. And I still have like family over there.
My
So,
mom's side of my family, literally, I have, I don't remember how many greats it is, but like a full blooded Native American, um, great, 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 great grandma. I think it's 10 greats. I'm not sure. um,
that was a lot.
but, um, so they've been here like a long time. My dad's side of the family, I think, came more recently. They're, um, German and Irish, but we've been here at least a few generations.
My dad and my mom like the heritage that they gave me is I'm the whitest of the white. Like we got Sweden, we have Germany, we have Poland, we have Ireland, we have England, we have Scotland.
Yeah. I know that I have German and Irish, but that's all I know. Well, and then some Native American from my mom's side of the family, which literally everyone on that side of the family, except for me and my cousin, can like tan like no other. Like you people that have Native American blood usually can,
You
and it
people.
pisses me off. I'm like, what the hell? But I took after my dad's side of the family physically, and my cousin took after her mom's side of the family, so it kind of makes sense. But it's also like,
What the fuck?
fuck you guys.
So Woodland and I went to the beach and he got real burnt. And I honestly, okay, so I'm always in the mindset of, yeah, I'm gonna be red, but I'm not gonna like truly be burnt unless I'm out here for like 7 hours, which I was on like a boat during like Memorial Day last year. I got fucking burnt. However, we were only at the beach for like an hour or two, and he was like, I'm red. Like, we should probably go. How much longer did you want to stay? I was like, oh, I wanted to stay like another hour. And he goes, I don't think that's a good idea. So then we leave, and as soon as we get back, I just see his entire body, like the burn setting in, and I was like, I felt so bad. I was apologizing all night. I was rubbing aloe all over his back, his shoulders, his front because of how bad it was.
You have to get
And
that boy an umbrella.
I know, I did, girl, I did. Walmart's got like beach umbrellas right now for like $40, and it comes with like a table and chairs and like a phone slit for you. So, girl, best believe I
Nice.
bought that. And I used it last Thursday. Wasn't very stable, but it worked for what I needed it to.
Right.
Um,
I need that.
but right, no, but so he's peeling right now, and he was like, "Am I tan yet? Am I tan yet?" Because I always ask him like, "Oh, don't worry, like you're just gonna tan. You're just gonna tan," and he's like, I don't think I've ever been tan,
I haven't.
like, ever. And I was like, "Yeah, you've been tan. You showed me a picture of you being tan." And he goes, "What picture?" And I find it, and he goes, "Babe, I was dirty. Like, I was, like, outside working in the yard dirty." And I was like, "Oh,
Yeah. I mean, I get
okay."
darker than I than see through pale blue that I usually am, but I don't tan. I've never been
Yeah,
tan.
he's back to white now. I mean, peeling, but he's white.
Yeah.
And I'm over here like tanning, like really, really dark, and or not really dark, but like darker than I was. And he's just like, yeah, not everyone gets the tan genes. And I was like, I'm gonna blame the German olive skin tone that I have because that's the
Yeah.
only reason why I tan so well.
Yeah. I don't tan.
um, but anyways, so if you would like to do any celebrating whatsoever, get yourself a little fire going. If not, go take a picnic out in nature, do all of that fun stuff so that you can actually enjoy time. Some suggested activities are review your defenses. So just whether that be make sure your house is nice, make sure your lawn looks great or whatever, or even in like your inner body defenses, like are you sick normally around this time, like maybe you should drink some soup, get some tea in
Take
your
some
body.
vitamin C.
Yeah, like just do something that's going to help increase your natural body's defense. You can also work on your physical health. You can do that. It also says go crazy. Beltane is an excellent time for adventure and rash, bold, spontaneous behavior. It is actually widely embraced. So celebrate with an impromptu trip, a short road trip to a neighboring town, or by finally mustering up the courage to hit on that special someone.
Hey, babe.
Um, yeah, or just make your way to the water. So wells, rivers, lakes, and other sacred water sources are often visited at Beltane as a way to honor the earth's fertility. So celebrate your day by going to the beach, going to the lake, whatever. I mean, May is normally a lake, at least in Indiana, it's a lake month kind of thing.
Well, maybe towards the end of May. It's still kind of chilly right now.
That's true. That's true. Um, so some spells are most of the spells are going to be about strong, sensual, fertile, and swift moving energy flow. So there are a lot of different spells that you can do, like two as one candle. You could do love spells, which are really kind of weird to me. I feel like you shouldn't really mess with love spells just because What if it's not consensual? Like,
Yeah,
it's
I feel
against their
like that's
will?
another like to each your own thing. I would err on the side of caution and do like instead of a love spell, maybe do a confidence spell on yourself. That way you're feeling
Yeah.
more confident and you can, or like an open communication spell. Um, because sometimes people don't love you because they don't love you, and you just have to accept that and move on. Consent, bro.
Yeah. You can also do a sun and citrine spell for energy and purification, which honestly, right now would be probably pretty fucking good considering Mercury's in retrograde and I've been
Oh
feeling
my
sluggish.
god.
Um, but the natural power of the sun and the natural power of salt and stones can clear away the stagnation and give your body and mind a boost of energy for Beltane. So no matter how you do it, just ground yourself, let yourself feel tired, let yourself breathe in what you're feeling, what's going on around you, and just kind of let it melt away, and then just use what you feel. Um, and use that as like a way to increase your energy. So just kind of melt away or um, all of the stagnant energy that has been left over from winter. You can also do manifestation in abundance because that's basically about growing crops and all of that. So you can do all of those things. You can also do divination. So you can do fortune telling with eggs and banox or whatever it is. I don't particularly know how to do this, but in ancient times or Scotland area, back in those times, the fate of the egg or a bannock as it reached the end of the hill was taken as an indication of the fate of the one who rolled it. If the egg remained intact and if the bannock landed blank side up, it signified good fortune. Whereas if the eggshell cracked or the bannock landed cross side up, it is indicated that poor luck was to be expected. You can boil some eggs first if you don't want to bother searching for a traditional recipe. Simply bake up a batch of biscuits on each side of the eggs. Oh, that's food. On each side of the eggs, write a goal, wish, or question for which you would like to know the prospects. On each of the biscuits, draw a solar symbol on either the top or the bottom surface, and take the biscuits and eggs to a grassy hill and roll them down. Thinking of the goal, wish, or question with each one as you released it down the hill. If the eggshell should crack or a biscuit lands solar symbol up, interpret as an answer of no, unlikely, or not at this time. So it's kind of like the magic 8 ball.
Okay.
That's kind of pretty cool, though. I mean,
It is.
you can also do a flower fortune. You can go out into a field of daisies or dandelions, close your eyes, and pick a large handful while thinking of an important long term goal. Traditionally, the goal was typically marriage, but you can marriage. But you can adapt this message to discern the fate of any ambition. Open your eyes and count the total number of flower blossoms in your bouquet. The number indicates how many years will pass before your wish comes true. I feel like you could fake that.
He loves me, he loves me not. He loves me, he loves me not.
Yeah,
That's what I was thinking the whole time.
flower divination right there. And you know what? Honestly, I feel like you can fake that. Like you could sit there and be like,
Yeah.
"Okay, I want marriage. I'll look 1 year."
Right.
The number indicates how many years will pass before your wish comes true. As an alternative, you can ask a yes or no question as you pick the flowers, then determine the answer by counting the number of blossoms. An even number indicates a no, while an odd number of flowers signifies a yes. Now, I feel like that one you can get away with because if you're supposed to be thinking about something else, it's going to be hard. You're going to lose
Yeah.
track of how many you're counting.
Yeah.
You can also do a love match tarot divination, which we can also kind of get into a little later because there's a lot to this. But long story short, you're basically going to, if I'm reading this correctly, you're going to separate out the court cards, which includes like the page, the knight, the queen, and the king of each suit. Why is it tarot? Oh, okay. You can take out the magician, the high priestess, the page, and the emperor, the hierophant, the hermit, and the hanged man, the devil, and the fool. All these cards represent specific archetypes and personality traits. And then basically you can like pick each card, go through and see what each card like signifies trait wise, and then go based off that.
Interesting.
Um, there are also some recipes and crafts you can do. One actually really kind of came to me just because I've been on a huge frozen berries with like topping for like a meal, not a meal, for dessert. Um, I mean, it's healthy in like small quantities and it's like super sweet, so it like curs the sweet tooth. But basically, you're going to take like a pound of mixed fresh berries. You're going to wash them. You're going to kind of like get them nice and clean. You're going to think about all the abundance and anything that you kind of want to like manifest for you. And then you're going to take a cup of heavy whipping cream, put it in a silver bowl and use not a silver bowl, sorry, a metal bowl, and use a metal whisk. Kind of freeze those two things because you don't really want it droopy. You want it nice and thick and like harder. And then you're going to whisk that until it becomes a thicker, fluffier consistency. And when you pick up your whisk, if it's not dripping, then it's perfect. Like that's kind of how the consistency you want it. And then you're going to do a couple of tablespoons of honey in it. And then you're going to whisk that around. And all of the while, you're going to think of all of the things that you want to manifest: abundance, love, sexual, whatever. If you want to make it that way, that's fine too. And then you're just going to combine it. And then you're going to like thank what you have in front of you as like a way of like solidifying what you want. And
That
then you
actually
eat it and
sounds
enjoy it,
really good. Yeah, that
right?
sounds amazing.
Um, and you can also do like, I don't know why they word it like this, but it's sexy rosemary and garlic roasted asparagus. But they also have like,
Why is it
but they
gotta
also,
be sexy?
yeah, I
Why are
know,
we
right?
sexualizing food?
I don't know, but they have like a barbecue section on here, and I think it's great because it reminds me of like Memorial Day like foods.
Right?
Oh, they also have a vanilla cinnamon. Well, you can't have cinnamon, but vanilla cinnamon thrill iced coffee. So
I
you
don't
can
like coffee
actually,
anyway.
yeah. But you can have some of those. You can have burgers. You can have um, pasta salad for those vegetarian. You can have like sun cakes, lemonade. You can have certain lemonade. Um, you can make magical May wine, and this one actually will like involves a little bit of a process, but it also involves making like your own May wine from like flowers and honey and club soda and all of that kind of stuff.
Interesting. I saw
So for
somebody on
the
TikTok the other day making dandelion wine, and I was like,
you can make
interesting.
dandelion tea. It's actually supposed to be pretty good for you.
Yeah.
It's like hibiscus, but not
Yeah.
like
I
it.
just
But
feel like being in town, like I would have a hard time finding dandelions that aren't probably covered in pesticides.
true, you probably have to wash it significantly.
Yeah.
Um, for those with, I mean, you could do this regardless if you have kids or not. But as I was reading this, I was like, this would actually be pretty cool. Like if I were to bring a kid into this world, I think this would be really, really cool to see or like to do this with them. Obviously, age appropriately, but you can make your own like wand. It's basically a pine cone tipped wand, and you can use it as an extra confidence boost, energy, and strength. You can also use it for love spells and lust magic if you want, but I would not use that with a child. And then
I would hope not.
yeah, so like use like a pine cone, a stick, like some twine, and some like little dangly things that you can decorate it and twist it all together and like say a little incantation of your choice or the one that they provide. Excuse me. And you can use it for magic to increase strength, courage, or energy, or any other Beltane rites you feel called to do. Or love magic, passion, or lust inducing spell work. You can do floral crowns, and it'll actually teach you how to make these floral crowns. Um, and like how long your stems need to be, which obviously if you have like a field, go out and pick your own flowers. But if you can't do that, like if you live in a city or it's harder to access like decent flowers, um just go to like a flower shop and try to get some.
You know what would even be fun too, thinking about that? Like if you do have kids, you could go to like there's so many places that are like pick your own flower farms.
Mm-hmm.
I can think of at least two within 45 minutes of where I am. Um, Granted, I live in a rural area, so it's, but it'd be really fun to like make that your activity. Like go to the pick your own flower farm, have a picnic, get your flowers, make your flower crowns. It'd be really fun.
Yeah. You can also make your own Beltane maple. You can do smaller ones. You can do it as like a table decoration for like your dining room table or whatever. But or you can just make like your own full sized one in your room or in your um, house or apartment wherever you live. Shack for those lucky enough to live at the beach. Um, and then it's got like a little section on like Beltane decor, on how to make it love, light, and the joy of warmer weather and decorating for the holiday. So you want to bring in the light, bring in the greens, make it romantic. Um, Anything that can cover those kind of basics, you can DIY it as well. But those are going to be the things that are really going to like solidify Beltane in your household. So greens, lights, plants, flowers, probably a little bit of pastel colors. But we'll get into the colors that not manifest. Um, but we can get into uh, we'll get into it here in a little bit. Um, you can also make a smaller one for like your altar if you want to as well. Um, it's basically you want a fire and water altar because Beltane marks the time of symbolic union between the goddess and the god. It's basically when opposites attract and polarities fall in sync. So a fire and water altar is a perfect way to honor nature's tides while giving you home a heavy dose of magical pizzazz. Ribbons on the ceiling, flowers in the sky, and go do some yard work. Those are all things that can really help bring Beltane into your home and your house and your family. Um, they also have some prayers that you can say if you are one to do that. Um, Sometimes I'm a little weird about saying prayers just because growing up Catholic, I just felt like that was a Catholic thing to do. So like when I say it now, I feel really fucking weird about it. Like when I did a full moon ritual, I was like saying stuff and I was like, God, I feel so weird. Like I feel like I'm not giving my all into it because I'm saying a prayer. But I
Right.
had like a little spell book, and so I was using it. And I was like, "Oh, I'm going to use this now. Like this is going to be great." You can also it also says that there's a prayer to the fairies in here. So if you would like to, it's a very very long prayer to the fairies, very long, but basically you're just asking for an alliance with them that you won't harm them, they won't harm you. You are essentially okay with each other. Like don't fuck with
So
each other.
funny story, real quick. Our favorite tarot reader, Lucid, um, was telling a story the other day. I went to tarot and tea at Sigil, and apparently he insulted the Fae. Um, like it was joking around and insulted the Fae in the store, and his one of his decks disappeared. Like one of his tarot decks disappeared for the longest time, and they finally found it. Like in so they have a lot of like not antique, but like
I'd say
wooden
nooks and
furniture.
crannies.
Yeah, like with like drawers and cabinets and all kinds of stuff. And they found them in this random cabinet with their like beads wrapped up around them or right next to them in like a perfect coil. And they were like just hidden in this random cabinet that no one goes into. So why were they in there? And the owner was like, I asked everyone in the store if they had seen them. And he swears now that they have
Oh,
different
fairies.
different energy because the Fae stole them.
When I went in there, I was like, "Do you have stickers?" And I guess not a lot of people ask for stickers because she was like, kind of like looked at me like, what? And she goes, "It's in one of the little drawers." And I was like, "Why are they hidden?" Like, and she goes, "I don't really have a good place to put them yet." And I was like, "Well, fuck, more stickers for me then. Like, don't tell anyone. This is mine."
Right. I
And then
went
I saw
in
like a
like
oh,
a
did you
week
get
later
some stickers?
and I was like, I heard there's like a secret hidden sticker drawer.
Yeah, so I'm like digging through it, and I see a fairy in there, and I was like, should I get it? Should I get this fairy? Like, am I gonna bring a fairy home with me? Like, is that what I'm doing right now? And I was like,
Mm.
mm. Um, there's also some rituals in here that I will post on social media when it gets closer to Beltane. But here are some, what is it? Deities or heroes. So, like Aphrodite, Artemis. They have some Chinese Roman, some Irish Danu, Diana, Flora, Freya. You can also do Venus, Apollo, Balder, Odin, Pan, Ra, Wotan. The colors for Beltane are brown, green, pink, and white. Some herbs are lemon, mint, mugwort, and woodruff. Trees are birch, hawthorn, oak, pine, and willow. Flowers are daisy, ivy, lily of the valley, rose, and violet. You can do bloodstone, emerald, or rose quartz for your crystals. Copper, gold, or silver. Some animals are bees, cows, doves, frogs, and rabbits. And then there are a bunch of different scents and oils and potpourris that you can just like do floating in the air, like rose, pine, lemon, mint, anything that I would say that you would think is spring would be good enough. And any tarot cards are the Emperor, Empress, High Priestess, and Magician. So flowers, maypole, and the little pine cone wand thing are going to be your symbols and tools for May Day. And there's a bunch of other ones here too, but we're not going to get into
Love
those unless
it.
people want it. It's this nice
I
little
love
book
it.
here, man. I like
Yes, that's
basically pulled
awesome.
I love these things. So
Yes.
go out and buy your own Llewellyn Sabbat book for Beltane, or you can get the whole set. If you go to Sigil Spellcrafters, I don't think you can buy it online, but if you go to Sigil Spellcrafters, you can actually get them all for like $60 or $90 between there. But I think most of the places I saw it was like $90.
Yeah, I
But you
think
also get
like
like every single book in a whole set in like a box that you can just slide it into. So it's really
yeah.
nice.
Yeah,
I
I think
like
like
it.
Amazon and Barnes and Noble, all the like big box sellers, it's like 90.
Yeah. So,
So,
and I don't remember how much I paid for it because I went in on during the Aquarius season and on my birthday. So I got like discounts.
yeah. It's almost my birthday.
It's Taurus season.
Yes, it's almost my
The stubborn
birthday.
Taurus.
It's gonna be my birthday in Mercury retrograde, which is fucking with me already. I never realized like how affected, and maybe it's the bipolar in me, I'm not really sure, but like how affected I am by Mercury retrograde. But like the
I'm gonna blame my
last
period.
two, so the last two, I've been like tracking it, and like literally during the last two, I've been like, fuck it, I'm gonna quit my job. Like, and like the
Girl,
last one,
same.
I didn't quit my job, but like the last one, I was like, I'm fucking done. I'm done. I'm it. This is it. I'm not teaching anymore. And
I'm
then
out of
like
here.
once Mercury retrograde was over, it was like back to normal. I'm fine. I'm gonna
I
make it
know.
happen.
Don't make any rash decisions because your houses for communication are completely fucked right now. So don't do
Yes,
any rash decision making.
especially when it comes to relationships. Relationships
Yeah.
are really bad this time around, or are really hard this time around.
Yeah. So good luck out there.
Yeah.
Or as Will
Stay
likes to say, good
safe.
luck everybody else.
All
Whenever we're playing a
right,
game and
witches.
like it's about to get scary, that's what he says, and I'm like, shut the fuck up. We're about to hunt ghosties. Don't say that. Because then they gonna come get me every fucking time. Anyways, until
All
next
right.
time.
Bye.
Bye.